And so, Backlash. That's. Wow. So, just finished up Backlash. You know, Smackdown Live's first ever pay per view, all by its lonesome, only on the WWE Network, which you can get for $9.99, right? So here's the thing. Um, was it ugly or was it charismatic? That's the question. And that's what I want to go over real quick and I want to cast my vote on whether I thought it was a very ugly pay per view or if it really paid its dues and did what it should do for the brand. First and foremost, the first match of the match on the pre-show was ugly. Here's why. A. Baron Corbin is basically the new Ryback for the brand. Like they're trying to tout him on the shows. Like they keep doing these things where they just kind of show him up there, and he's like they don't know whether they want to make him someone who just squashes people. They kind of a couple weeks ago did the whole confrontation with Kane incident, and they've really they don't do anything with this guy. Like they act like they want to make him a big deal, but they don't put him on any pay-per-views. He's always on the pre-show, and he always wins on the pre-show. It's like he's not doing anything important. He's not relevant in any way, shape, or form, and they're just he's just there. Like, what are we doing? Meanwhile, this week, this time around for the pay per view, they fed him Apollo Crews. And don't get me wrong, the match was very, very well. It was done back and forth, blah, 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 blah. But Apollo Crews does nothing but lose as well. And then you have Baron Corbin who just wins. And I don't know what directions they're actually going with this new attitude of and this new era of wrestling, especially with the SmackDown brand at the start there, because you got these two guys who were top picks and top drafts and big deals in the draft, and Apollo Crews, very first thing out the gate, got to go and face off against the Miz for the Intercontinental Championship on the pay per view to the pre-show. So I think that's a little weird, little wacky, and I can't get behind that, but the opening match of the actual pay-per-view really made up for the pre-show, and actually really does a wonder for the pay-per-view overall. As it is, I was actually, the thing that I wasn't happy with, to kick it off, is the fact that the very first opening match of the night was the Divas match. It was the Divas, or the Women's Superstars match. It might as well have been the Divas, called the Divas at that point, because I mean, you put them back on as the openers, but beyond the fact that they opened the show and that it's for the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion. So you had 6 women go out there, and they worked. They did a great match. You really kind of split everybody off into different little feuds. Our girl from Ohio, Alexa Bliss, rocking some like Harley Quinn mess tonight. It was just like, damn, girl. Like, she good, she hot, but damn, don't do that, please don't do that. But they all kicked ass. Like the match was worked well. There was some great spots. You saw Nikki Bella get pinned by Carmella in the upset. So like having it come down to Carmella and Becky Lynch, like you already knew Becky Lynch is the only member of the 4 Horsewomen who has not held a WWE championship. Like Bayley's had the NXT. Sasha and Charlotte have each been NXT and WWE Women's Champions. Hell, Charlotte was even the last Divas champion. Like these girls are already, sporting the gold, and then you have Becky, who's just never been able to get any of it. So, inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion, boom, Becky Lynch, which I think is fantastic. That was, and coming down to her and Carmella really helped escalate Carmella. It also really got to build up towards Nikki Bella and Carmella. So that's where that feud's heading. You're going to end up back with probably Becky Lynch and Natalya. I'm sure Naomi will get in there somewhere because they all worked great. So that match probably top of the night right there. So that charismatic till the end. Okay, like that was. Thank you to the women of SmackDown for really taking that entire show, honestly. As next you get the Usos versus the Hype Bros, which it did what it was supposed to do. You get the Usos coming down. They're no longer doing their little war dance. They're not wearing face paint. They're in just really bland Uso attire. So they've gone from the very colorful, hyped up tag team like roll to just hating everybody and just very focused, very serious. They do a really good match with the Hype Bros. And of course they go over because you have to have face versus heels with Heath Slater and Rhino versus the heel team. And it was also a really good way to protect American Alpha, as if American Alpha was on the pay-per-view card, they're gonna win. But they've been building Heath Slater and Rhino to where Heath's got to be a big deal again. He's got to win to get it to stay on SmackDown. So there's a couple of different ways they could pull this. So once you finally got the face team versus the heel team set, like that was good. It was all around good bout. You got the job done. You recovered everything up. You wrapped everything up in a nice bow because now American Alpha definitely has some unfinished business with the Usos. You have Slater and Rhino set up for the later in the night to have a good match and hopefully get to go over. So that was it was solid booking, solid wrestling. It was exactly where it should have been on the card, and it did exactly what it should have done for the card. So that was a plus. But then you go to the Ziggler Miz match, and the only thing besides it being phenomenal, because it was well worked, like those two guys can go, and you actually saw the Miz work, like really, like back at that level when he was WWE champion work. Like I'm a fan of the Miz. I like what he does. I love to hate him. And like that's how it's supposed to be. Like he does he is good at what he's doing. And the fact that he is still an Intercontinental Champion means that they are either going to make Dolph feel sorry for himself, Dolph's finally going to snap, or they're going to play up, oh, well, he cheated to win, ha ha ha. So I'm waiting to see where that actually goes before I fully just go or not. But I mean, I kind of went into Backlash feeling like the Miz was going to win. Hell, the pre-show panel was all like Miz. Like Dolph didn't have a prayer. And so they're really playing up into the storyline where Dolph just can't win the big one. And so I'm looking to see where this goes, because I feel like this is an actual moment for Dolph Ziggler. Like this is the catalyst to something greater for him. That, or tomorrow we're just going to see Dolph Ziggler has been future endeavored. Who knows on that front. So I'm waiting to see. I hope Orton is okay. I don't know what the injury is. It just really it sucks for him to come back and already be partially one leg back up on the shelf. I felt like they handled the fact that he couldn't wrestle that night pretty well, with the Bray Wyatt beating him up and then the whole forfeit thing. but I am not okay with how they booked Wyatt, and here's why. The fact that, okay, he gets the forfeit victory, cool, it's fine. But then for Kane to come out, them to do a no holds barred match, and for Orton to interfere and Kane go over, like Wyatt loses enough as it is. He is your future. Like, I understand you can put him over anytime, and it's gonna, when they decide to really pull the trigger on him, they can do it whenever they want. He's going to be a massive star. However, to me, the finish was very ugly. The match itself, Kane can still work. He can obviously work. They had a couple of really nice spots there. They actually really got the crowd going. So, I mean, that part was good. But the finish was as ugly as it can get. As, honestly, I would have put him over. I would have had Orton come in, hit the RKO, doing his little, oh, yeah, as he's walking back up the ramp. And then after Kane hits a choke slam, I'd have Orton kind of look around and watch as, his handiwork's being taken advantage of, and he's, eating an RKO and a choke slam from Kane. And I would have him kick out. Just boom, kick out, and then Sister Abigail pin 1, 2, 3. Like Sister Abigail into the chair. Just like, I'm a god. And you can't, normally get into Orton's head, but this dude just ate an RKO and a choke slam and kicked out and then pinned somebody. Like, that sends a real message. And it's not going to hurt Kane. Like, shit. Kane's been in the business forever. He'd be fine doing that job. Like, it would build Bray up and really make that feud more intense when they can actually have the match. So to me, that was the thing that I would have changed there. When you go into the tag title match, as I said earlier, you had the Usos already, set up to be that baby or that heel team, and Slater and Rhino are clearly going to be the babyface team. Like, it's all about Slater getting a contract. So there's only two ways you can do this match, and that's Slater and Rhino win, or you can have Slater and Rhino lose and Slater turn massive heel and just beat the hell out of Rhino, put him on the injured reserve list, and get a contract that way. He basically assaults a WWE superstar, and you kind of you build him up that way. That's really, those are your only good options for it. And they went with making Slater and Rhino the tag champs, and they did it in a very good way. They showcased Slater, really just getting his stuffing beat in, and then you turn around and he does some fantastic offense. The blindside gore from Rhino into that cover, and the crowd was into it. The storyline, the storyline there has been a good solid. It's been short, it's been sweet, but they've done things with it. They've really worked it together. They're moving with it, and so I'm really, really happy with how they let it ride. Like, you knew from the get-go that they were going to be the tag champs, and you just didn't know how. And it was a good story. Now there's a good conclusion for it, and I hope that they do good with it moving forward, and either develop these two as a legitimate tag team, or hop the belts right back off of them onto a more legitimate tag team. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But overall, I enjoyed that. The only downside I have is that you're not going to be able to have the tag champs in WWE 2K17 for SmackDown, as I'm pretty sure Rhino's not in the game, so I'm hoping he's in the DLC pack. Though honestly, as massive as this roster is for WWE 2K17, I feel like one of your DLC packs is going to have Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, and will probably also consist of Rhino, because you're also going to get Luke Gallows and Arn Anderson. Like those guys are almost guaranteed, especially now, to be in the DLC packs. And if not, oh man. But nice thing about this not being a pay-per-view, and it's more like it's a brand pay-per-view, but I don't think it was actually carried on cable television, is the fact that you got 3 hours of wrestling, but the main event started at 10 o'clock and went 40 minutes. So your pre-show match really kind of is what got you that 3 hour mark, which is fine. It was just long enough. Like, the show didn't drag too much. The build up for Smackdown, we were talking about this the other day, was the fact that the build up was just it was like just striking a match. Like, that was all the real build up they had. But that's all right now you're going to really get, as it's the first one. So I'm not going to be super critical beyond the Bray Wyatt incident, as you then finish off with AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose, and the face that runs the place thing with you. Like, they have pushed Styles to the moon and back, and he is playing the best heel. And it hurts me a little bit, because the universe is still just super over with him. Like, they're just cheering the crap out of him. Like, they were even booing Ambrose at points, which I thought was weird, but it's Virginia, whatever. And it was a very just solid match, with them hitting almost every single spot that they could hit. I think the only thing that wasn't ever fully connected on was the Ambrose never hit Dirty Deeds, and Styles never hit the Phenomenal Elbow, which that actually pleased me, because he actually won with the Styles Clash. Yeah, he low blowed him first, behind the ref's back, but I mean, he was fighting as the heel. He's the cocky, I get the job done heel, and he now can tout that, because he's the new WWE champion. And I think that was a good move. They've completely shaken up the roster. They have completely fresh storylines. They have real rivalries going into No Way Out. They have, like, everything's, the stage is set. They're going to be running pay-per-views for both brands, and they're going to be doing it at a constant rate. And it's content. It's specialty shows. They're treating it more like Cirque du Soleil than they are wrestling. It's a face paint. It's a facelift. It's just a skin. It's sports entertainment. And so I feel like they've done everything they need to do for a foundation pay-per-view, minus Bray Wyatt, minus my issues with how he was booked, as that was a huge why you do these things to me moment. But everything else, I could understand, I could get behind, and I cannot. I'm a little, like, I'm slightly disappointed with the fact that Ambrose went down to a low blow in a Styles Clash, because but he also hasn't been touted as the Iron Man of WWE for a while, so I'm okay with it. I think that kind of just got dropped right after the whole he lost to Mania at Lesnar. So I mean, that was it's fine, but I thought the finish was perfect regardless, because I mean, just this nice swift kick in the dick and a Styles Clash, and the ref doesn't see a damn thing. Yeah, he had him pinned perfectly, and he just walks out with the championship, and that is how you close a pay-per-view. The crowd actually still popped crazily for him. So I mean, if he wants to be a true heel, he's gonna have to work for it. But I don't think you can really make AJ Styles a true heel. He's that cool heel, but he's good at it. He's good at what he does, and I cannot wait until SmackDown Live, which I feel like is the best part of that pay-per-view, is because it was paint by numbers in the actual booking. Like, if you're a wrestling fan, you knew what was going to happen for the most part. I didn't fully see the AJ Styles win coming at Backlash. I figured it'd be later down the line if they even did it, considering they've kept not pulling the trigger on him. The fact that they gave him the big belt, not the universal belt and things like that, which is, it's kind of cool because the WWE Universal title, which I still think, because they've dropped heavyweight from, it's now the WWE World Championship on SmackDown, and so I feel like Raw should be the Raw Heavyweight Championship. But what do I know? I'm just a fan, but the fact that it went Finn Balor to Kevin Owens, and then it went from Dean Ambrose to AJ Styles, like, they're really, like, the two guys who are holding the titles have been in the business for a very long time. I mean, I'm not saying Ambrose hasn't, because Ambrose and Balor both have. All four of those guys have really left their mark in the independents. They have gone places. They made their names in other companies, and now the big company is using them as their top people to transition into their homegrown talent. So I feel like that we're finally seeing what a lot of hardcore fans wanted to see, but you're also setting up for the future. You're setting up for the NXT people. And I mean, while I'm not happy again with how they booked Wyatt, he's also young. He's not even 30 yet, and he's not buried by any means. He ate 2 finishers to the pin. Yeah, he lost to an older guy, but at the same time, he's lost to Kane and Undertaker before. He loses to everybody, and he still comes back with some of the best promo work, best mic work, and they always sell him like he's the biggest threat because he's crazy and he's this loony. And so he's always going to have that level of credibility. And it's just, I want to see him actually utilized for the monster that he can truly be, and that they actually try to call him as tonight. My final thoughts beyond my rating is that the only other thing I'd like to nitpick is that they took AJ Styles and kind of tried to tarnish the fact that he cheated to win, when that's kind of his character, is win at any cost, no matter what. Like, if the opening's there, you're going to take it. And that Mark Ronaldo actually said, I hope this doesn't tarnish his legacy. Like, what? Like, I know that had to be a scripted thing, because, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's been around the world. He was in Bullet Club. He was in TNA. He was in Ring of Honor. Like, he's held championships everywhere. And now he is the face of the company. He's the face of SmackDown. I don't think there's anything that can tarnish his legacy. I mean, that's like saying, Brock Lesnar won at 202, and he was a WWE champion, and he beat the streak, but he was on steroids. He was juiced up. He failed. I hope that doesn't tarnish his legacy. I'm just saying. But all in all, I'm going to have to say that Backlash was a very charismatic first endeavor for SmackDown, and I'm going to be optimistic on that. There were again a couple ugly moments, but overall, I think it was a very charismatic pay-per-view, and I cannot wait to see what they do on SmackDown Live. And No Way Out, there will be no way out, as I will be judging the crap out of it.